a rematch with our opponent. Hopefully we get a more interactive game on the go. Brudiclad Telchor Engineer versus Ghave, Guru of Spores. And wouldn't you know it, we have of course drawn into Combat Celebrant again. And we also have a means of making a copy of it, so this game may go the same way that the last game went. You never know, our opponent might have some removal for us this time. Not going to go over the commanders again because I have to assume that if you have seen the first game already, which I'll probably stitch onto the front of this one, then I've already gone over the commanders. Go for a Steam Vents coming in tapped here. And yeah, Shockland in tapped. And there we go, Solemn Simulacrum we can't ramp into unfortunately. So we'll just get our Metalcraft on the go with Seat of the Synod. And hope that our opponent doesn't have any artifact removal for us. Plenty of infinite combos with Ghave. The longer the game goes for them, the better. The more mana they can produce. And they have Ghost Quarter, so they're not in the best of positions with a 3-colour deck on the go. Well, Sakura Tribelder will get them closer towards their 3 colours being met. We'll go into our Volcanic Island and we'll get down the Combat Celebrant and give them half a chance to remove it if they want to. We do also have Twin Flame, but I think we'll be doing that. Yeah, once we've got Brudiclad out, we'll be going for Solemn Simulacrum next turn, I think. Twin Flame is choose any number of target creatures you control. For each of them, create a token that's a copy of that creature except it has haste, and you exile them at the beginning of the next end step. So we really want to be doing this while Brudiclad is out. And then we can have our mirrors become a copy of whatever we have cloned with Twin Flame. Aura Shards is the last thing we want to see. So it might be worth a Chaos Warp, because Chaos Warp is about the only thing that can get rid of that in our deck. And we don't want them to blow up our land either. So let's just go for that Chaos Warp. I'm worried about them going for something like Heroic Intervention. Well, Cathar's Crusade. Well, I'd rather they didn't have Cathar's Crusade, obviously, but it's better than them having Aura Shards against this deck. That's about as good as an Aura, or as good an enchantment. It's not an Aura, as they could hope to get. If they get into a land next turn, they will be able to get down their commander. And they certainly can. This thing will come down as a 6/6 thanks to the Cathar's Crusade. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten into any ramp. We want to get out our commander as soon as we can in this deck. Okay, they go for Bone Shredder, which is, yeah, that's a pretty good call on our opponent's part. Looks like we're just going to go into Solemn Simulacrum instead. So if we go for a land, we'll grab ourselves a basic mountain. And then I think we can Fellwar Stone into Solemn. Then we'll be looking at our commander the turn after. Yeah, it's a pretty slow-paced game for us so far. But we might be able to get our commander out and Twin Flame in the same turn. Especially with us ramping off of Solemn Simulacrum. Grab another mountain off of this, seeing as how we have Polluted Delta for another basic island. Okay, yeah, and we just need to hope that our opponent doesn't have more removal for us, because we have nothing to use the Twin Flame on, apart from Solemn Simulacrum, and it can at least get us into more lands, and when those tokens die, they will be drawing us a card. And Garrick again, same as last game. And these beasts will come in as 4/4s. Zealous Conscript. We can't kill Garrick, I don't think. No, we can't. And we'll get down our polluted delta first, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we can twin flame. Make copies of Solemn Simulacrum. So why don't we do that while we still can. Get down our island, and then do we want to twin flame first? We could Zealous Conscript. Make another token. One. Yeah. Although it'll get exiled, won't it? So that is... yeah, that's not the best idea. Why don't we just go for our commander? Because we'll be able to make a token of Solemn Simulacrum. And then we'll be able to make our Mir a copy of the Solemn token. And then that means that the one that we turn the Mir into, there we go. Better if I just show you as opposed to trying to explain it. Just have to hope that there's no path in our opponent's hand. We do of course ramp a little bit thanks to that token entering. The Brudiclad tokens will not enter, but that one does. Now then, this thing is from the Twin Flame, and that will exile at the end of the turn. But the Brudiclad Mir token that is going to become a copy of it, as you can see, it doesn't enter the battlefield when it becomes a copy. So this one will exile. This one, the Mir, will stick around. And we can go at Garrick Wildspeaker. And actually, yeah, we'll do it like that, so they can either kill our token that's going to be exiled anyway, or they can have their Garrick Wildspeaker go down. We could have gone wide on our opponent there and killed Garrick Wildspeaker, but I want them to have a little bit of a conundrum here. We might as well swing in with this Solemn Simulacrum token because it's going to be exiled anyway. Okay, they're going to give us card draw then. We may draw a card, and I don't know if anyone's ever said no to this, unless our opponents had a Consecrated Sphinx in play or something like that. Now, what we can go for next turn is, if everything stays as is, we can go for Zealous Conscripts onto... we can either steal the Cathar's Crusade, or we can go with Garrick Wildspeaker creating a token for us. Okay, they're going for Ghave Guru of Spores, and they're going to be able to start throwing out tokens left, right and centre here. Cathar's Crusade is something we really don't want our opponent to have. And effectively, yeah, they get free saprolings here, because every time a creature enters, all the creatures they have will get +1/+1 counters, so Ghave, even though it's just created saprolings, it's more powerful, or it's just as powerful as it was when it entered. And the beast can swing in if it wants to. I think what we want to do in this case is go for Zealous Conscripts onto Ghave, and then we're going to have to pay 6 if we want to sacrifice it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, unfortunately we're not going to have enough to kill Ghave off, which is annoying. But at least we'll be getting more value than they will, so... because we want tokens just as much as they do. So we go for Zealous Conscripts. And we'll steal Ghave Guru of Spores. And then we will remove a +1/+1 counter from a creature. And we'll do this a few times, 1, 2, 3 and 4, just to save time. Remove a counter. And okay, that saves no time apparently. We only have 3 mana available to us floating in our pool, and Mordor still wants us to choose it. There we go. Ghave was one of the first commanders that I built, and I never had too much luck with it. But that was mainly because I didn't want to go all combo heavy. Now then, we can make copies of Solemn Simulacrum here. Always yield to that. And there we go. Now we go for... We'll go after Garrick. How do we want to do this? We need to get a couple of creatures past our opponent, so that is 1, 2, 3, and then 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. There we go. And then these can go in at our opponent. And hopefully that's correct. We can chump block with the Solemn Simulacrum, and if they decide to block any of our tokens, then we will of course draw cards off of this. And Garrick's down either way, if I've done it correctly. I have to assume that they will just keep their Garrick on the field, their Ghave Guru of Spores, that is, on the field. Because what they can do is pay 1 and remove a counter from any of these creatures. That will create a Saproling, and then they'll get a +1/+1 counter on everything. Thar's Crusade's really good in this deck. So where are we here? Yep, we've currently got 3 on Garrick, and then 3. No, our opponent isn't done blocking. Yeah, so we've got 5 on Garrick, and then 2, 4 and 6 on our opponent. We'll draw 2 cards here. And we will of course draw a card, Rite of Replication. Yeah, that could be very handy for us. Just have to hope that we rip into a really good creature here. Or even if our opponent gets down a really good creature, we can make 5 token copies of it. I just played a game that I wasn't recording. My opponent was playing Sheoldred, and they got down the Bloodgift Demon, which is a 5/4 creature, I think. A mono black flying demon. And it's basically got a Phyrexian Arena attached to it. You lose a life and draw a card at the beginning of each turn, and I got 3 copies of that against them. And put them on a pretty substantial clock, actually. Now then, we are obviously being attacked here. So we'll just take 8 and we'll block 7 of that. Okay, we're going for that. This will hopefully get us closer to doing something frightening to our opponent. Say yes to that, and no, we're just into another land. Rite of Replication gets us halfway there, but there's nothing too scary we can do to them currently. Even if we made a copy of Ghave, yeah, we can't exactly make multiple copies of a legendary creature. We can only keep one of them. Yet another land. We'll just go for the Cascade Bluffs. And we'll just get multiple copies of Solemn Simulacrum here. I think this is a pretty good means of trying to keep us in the game. And it'll at least ramp us. These are difficult things to keep under control. We'll have to hold some back for blocking, I think. unless we just want to race our opponent, but they can really do some crazy stuff with Ghave now, thanks to that Kthar's Crusade. They could just remove a bunch of counters from all their creatures and make a load of saplings that will, or saprolings that will block for them. So we'll just take full advantage of all the ramp here and pretty much get all of our basics out here. Okay, now then, our opponent can make creatures for days. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana held up, which means they can create 6 saprolings, and they will be big heavy hitters. I think we just have to hold back with our army of solemn simulacrums here and hope that we get into something decent. We'll make them here a copy of Solemn Simulacrum, and we'll get another one. And then we can at least pretend to hold up counter magic. Our opponent doesn't know that we have a fat heap of nothing in our library, or in our hand, not our library. And now we're going to see exactly why we didn't swing in, I assume. Because Ghave can remove counters to make saplings, saprolings. God, the real word in the English language is saplings. A sapling is just basically a tiny little plant that's growing out of a seed. And I always want to call them saplings, but it's saprolling in magic lore. And there we go, of course. They get basically as many creatures as mana that they have, which is 6, so they get 6 saprolings, and then each of those gets a +1/+1 counter on it. So we are in a sticky situation here. We just don't want our opponent to get into any kind of trample. We pretty much have one swing in from our opponent here, and we are done. Yeah, and our opponent's just going to swing in with everything. So what have we got? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 creatures coming in. And we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12 creatures ourselves. So why don't we just draw a load of cards here? I mean, we really just need to get into a board wipe at this point. And we're going to die next turn if we don't draw into anything. So we might as well give ourselves every chance of drawing into stuff. Yeah, and then we'll have one token held back that we can make copies of if we so choose. How many is that? 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, yeah, 10. We'll say yes. Arcane Denial. Spell Swindle is more tokens for us. Mana Vault is yet more mana. I think we're struggling on mana. Vizier of Many Faces. Yeah, we can't abuse their Ghave Guru of Spores like they can abuse ours. That's more tokens. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Brudiclad Humiliator is also new to Commander 2018. And doesn't help us, unfortunately, making all of our opponent's creatures into 1/1s. They've all got stacks of +1/+1 counters on them, and that is the last thing we want to see. Curse of Exhaustion. We can't cast more than one spell each turn. I don't know why. I thought I removed auto yields. I would have Arcane Denialed that. So that may have just cost us the game, but I don't think we could have gotten anything going here anyway, as it happens. We don't have any means of token generation. Apart from the God Pharaoh's Gift, What would that have got us? Combat Celebrant, actually. Can we win this game yet? Let's go for Darksteel Citadel. 1. Our opponent has 5 cards in hand. So we just have to hope that they don't have removal. They do deserve to win this game, so I can't say I'd feel too badly if they have removal after all that. God Pharaoh's Gift will make a copy of Combat Celebrant. And without removal from our opponent, we'll be able to go infinite on them. So here we go. I have to make sure to... I think this is at the beginning of combat. Yep, it is. So we have to stack things correctly here. Okay, so... Brudiclad we want to resolve last, which means we put it on the stack first. We can yield to God Pharaoh's Gift. That will give us Combat Celebrant. And then Brudiclad throws out a mere token. And we have our tokens become copies of Combat Celebrant. And then we won't make the mistake that we made last turn. We'll attack with all creatures, pull one back, and exert it. And there we go. Looks like we're going to be able to go infinite on our opponent again. It's a shame to win in the same way, but a win's a win. So we go through to the blocking stage here. And it all depends on... Yeah, our opponent only has 2 mana. So they can make some big creatures here, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get around our infinite attack steps. So yeah, Brudiclad goes on first. God Pharaoh makes a copy of something. We'll go for the Solemn Simulacrum. We'll get a land into play. I don't think it's of any relevance, but you never know. And yep, there we go. Our opponent sees what's going on there. They saw it last game as well. We just managed to, even though we didn't get a chance, maybe I didn't remove the auto yield there. I'm going to assume that I didn't and hope that it's not a bug. Yeah, definitely would have Arcane Denial that curse, but we were just lucky and, well, don't know how lucky it is. We drew a hell of a lot of cards then. We managed to go infinite on our opponent. Had they have held back a couple of creatures there, maybe that game would have gone differently, but they needed to apply pressure to us, and that they did. Had we not have been able to get the win off there, then we may well have lost that game. In fact, we definitely would have lost that game. So I'm glad that that Arcane Denial miss didn't damage us too much, didn't hurt us too much, and yeah, managed to pull out another victory with Brudiclad. So I hope you all enjoyed that, and I will see you all in the next one. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.